Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Intuition Incubator interview. I am Carolyn Beauchamp, and I am the author of the newly published book, Horses to Higher Consciousness, Riding the Cosmic Current. And it's an inspirational memoir, and it's based on my life and my work through my journey through life and into hypnotherapy, where I really had to learn how to trust the voice within as opposed to the voice or voices without. And that's really what inspired the Intuition Incubator interviews. So I am honored and privileged today to be here with Morrighan Lynn. And Morrighan is amazing. She's a trauma-based informed coach, spiritual mentor, author, and speaker with nearly 2 decades of experience guiding soul deep healers back to their bodies, their truth, and their power. So powerful. As the founder of Her Sovereign Way, she creates sacred containers for women to remember who they are beneath the noise, weaving together nervous system wisdom, embodiment practices, and intuitive healing. Morrighan is the author of the Spiritual Human Proactive Tools for a Reactive World and creator of the Sovereign Path Oracle deck. I love that, and I want to know all about that later because I know I'm going to be getting that. Both of which reflect her gift for blending the mystical with the practical, with a presence that is both earthly and ethereal, another perfect combination there. She's known for making complete ideas accessible through human honesty and soulful storytelling. She has, she's supported her clients around the globe, been featured on dozens of podcasts and media outlets, and is often described as a mirror, a weaver, and a keeper of sacred remembrance. And on that note, welcome, Morrighan, to the Intuition Incubator interviews.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. That's so lovely. I'm already having the best time ever, so I'm really excited to be here.
Wow, well, I'm really, really happy to hear that because, earlier I did a panel discussion with some of the sisterhood ladies, and that's exactly what we were talking about is energy. And when you feel that energy, it just makes everything work better, right? Everything is
Mm.
energy. And if you're
Right.
feeling comfortable in the space, like the energy's good, we're gonna have a great time.
That's right. I
Okay,
agree.
so, before we actually start and talk about your work, let's talk a little bit about you. I'd like to know, where were you? Like, what was going on in your life when your transformational healing journey really began?
Ooh, yeah, let's go way back into the day. So I had just given birth to my son. So I was in Tucson, Arizona. This was 1999. And I was at a bit of a not really sure about going back. I didn't know what going back meant. I didn't know what going forward meant. So I was at this little bit of a crossroads, not really sure where I belonged in the world. Questions were coming in. I was hearing voices, I was feeling things. I wasn't sure what it was. So because I was uneducated, I didn't know what guides were or what angels were. I was really doing my very best to push them away because I'm like, no, thanks. No, 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 just kind of fighting it really until there was a moment I couldn't ignore it anymore. And I released my resistance to it and I said, okay, I obviously have to pay attention to this. So I just stopped fighting it and I just let myself have the experience of I started connecting to those voices and connecting to their messages and everything took off from there. And as paths do, there were teachers and books and classes that came across my path and kind of guided and directed me. But yeah, I've been on this journey for a good 30 something years. So it's been ups and downs all the way.
Well, it sounds very much though like your intuition at first. Of course, it's natural because when we have no concept and we hear it, it's almost kind of like, well, am I crazy or what's happening? And I'm not ready for this. So there's an
Exactly.
initial kind of resistance to it. But it sounds like then you listened to your intuition, which is what the Intuition Incubator is all about, speaking
Yeah.
to people so that we can support the audience members who are watching us. That, yeah, you may be a little scared at first, or it may seem weird, but if we go with our intuition and we just start opening up and trusting, then the universe will bring it to us little by little, I guess, as we're ready, right? And if
Yeah, that's how I see it is I feel like now being able to have hindsight with it, I know my guides and angels were knocking on my door, but not really wanting to overwhelm me. So they were doing it very gently, not to scare me off, I suppose. And then when I finally like relaxed and got really, I got more curious than afraid. I think that was sort of the tipping point is I'm more curious now. What is going on? What do you want? What are you doing? And then it started to get a little bit more loud, a little bit more clear. And I see them that way. They're not interested in overwhelming us, so they're not going to bombard us, but they do drop hints here and there and tap on the shoulder and leave little notes and leave little gifts along the way that in the hopes that we would be curious enough to ask what's this what's going on.
Yeah, and I'm curious, how did that really happen? So you had just had your son, and your son
Hmm.
was a brand new baby,
Yep,
and
he was about 2 months old, and it's a long story, so I'll keep it really short. I grew up in Texas. I was living in Arizona. I had heard back from my home ec teacher. I'd stayed in touch with her all these years that a classmate of mine had passed away in a car accident. His mom was our librarian, and she was having such a hard time with the death of her child, of course, that she was on suicide watch. I get chills even talking about it. And I'm holding my brand new baby reading this letter about my librarian friend and her son. And then it hit me, oh my God, I'm going to have to prepare for things like that. So I like this dread of, I didn't even think about all of the possibilities that would happen in the tragic kind of ways, right?
yeah.
And I heard instantly, I felt this presence and a woman's voice on the outside, audible, said, don't worry, you're not going to have to worry about that. Your son's going to be safe. And I broke like a dam of tears broke, and I could not ignore the guidance anymore. So that was a very tragic moment that turned into a blessing of an awakening in a 5-second moment.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's really what I was getting at. Like I was wondering, okay, the baby was new, but what really happened when you said you
right.
started, you started getting information? I'm like, okay, well, what did that look like? I really wanted to know, and you just told us. So,
That's what it looked like. It
so
was fast and abrupt and heavy and beautiful and hard and amazing and just instant information. So, yeah.
And then, okay, so you got that. You knew right away that that was something speaking to you, higher. What did you think at that point? Was that an angel or a guide or your higher self? Did you have any ideas about that when it first happened?
No, but I know now it was Archangel Gabriel. I've spoken with Gabriel often, and Gabriel appears to me in a more feminine voice, a more feminine appearance. And so I didn't know that then, but I know that now. But at the time, her voice was just so soothing. I immediately melted into it, and I felt the safety.
Wow. And how did you know? You didn't know at that time that it was Archangel Gabriel, but
No,
then you did later. And so
yeah.
tell us about that. What was your, how did you come to not knowing that and then knowing that?
So soon after, well, soon, like 3 years later, I'm divorcing my then husband and moving to Boise, Idaho, where that's a huge long story, but guided to move, guided to leave Arizona, go someplace new, start over. And I didn't know anyone there. So I spent a year dedicating to my path. I meditated 2 to 3 times a day. I was reading every book I could get my hands on. I was connecting with angels and guides and like I wanted to spend like I what I would do is I would spend like a week getting to know one archangel. meditating every day with that one angel, channeling messages, connecting with that one being. And then I'd move to another one and then move. So I felt like I was really steeping in the frequency that they are, and
Mm.
getting really familiar with their energetic signature, the way they spoke, their tone, their cadence, their personality traits. And so I I became very well versed in that relationship. So that was really where I got to know Michael and Uriel and Zafkiel, and like I just really I got into it. I went all the way in.
Wow, so that means like that was about the early 2000s then, because you said your son was born in
Yeah.
1999. Is that correct? Is that what you
Yeah, and
said?
in fact, it was 2005 when I moved to Boise. So I spent that whole year just that was my studies. That's all I did.
And that was that prompted from because you were already speaking to Archangel Gabriel, so then you got that intuition, that guidance, that intuitive nudge. Oh, I think I'm going to just, connect with all of them and get to know all of them.
Oh yeah. Well, I was hungry at that point, right? It was
Yeah.
so fun, and what else is possible? What else can I know? Like I was starving. I was just eating so much of that. It was so nourishing. So
Oh yeah,
yeah,
because
I went all the way.
it was brand new, and
Yeah.
how long between what my question is from the time you got the information from Gabriel, and I want to go back to that and find out what kind of guidance we're talking about before you started saying, oh, well, I think I'll connect to some others. Did you stick with Gabriel for a while? What did that look like?
No, because at the time when I heard his voice, I didn't know who that was. So it was just all curiosity, right? So
Oh,
that's when I really dedicated to meditation, and I would take different classes. I would, the teachers and the books and the blogs and the oracle cards, all the things, because it really just looked like a beautiful buffet to me, just trying it all on.
oh,
Because I didn't
absolutely.
know what I was doing. I didn't know who I was talking to, but I felt that it was a safe space to do that. So I jumped all the way in and got pretty, like, that's where it really started getting distinctive of the difference between guides and guardian angels and archangels. Like I started really divvying out the differences in their personalities and what they're there for. And so, yeah, almost like market research in a little bit of a
Yeah.
way, where I needed to just kind of know who I was talking to and what they were there for. And yeah.
And how did you do that? Because I know you said you were doing the angels, so you were literally asking to connect to a particular one, or would you just open yourself to, I'm open to whoever wants to come in next? What did that look like?
It's a combination of both, because I would, as I learned more names, I would call out to who I thought I would, like, as I learned Archangel Michael, I would say, hey, I want to get to know you. Would you be willing to show me who you are and let me know you're there and guide me in this week? So I would request it. But then there would be times when I would hear a voice or feel a presence and I wouldn't know exactly who it was. So I would just sit with them, and first I would want to establish if I was safe, of course,
Of
right?
course.
Because safety matters. But then I got to know them through asking their names. Sometimes I wouldn't get names, but I would get comfort in the repetition of them coming into my meditation. So there would be a signature, a frequency that I would feel. It's like, oh, I remember you, and get to know them that way. And yeah,
How
it
did
was,
how did you, excuse me, I didn't want to interrupt
yeah.
you. How did you distinguish or differentiate the different frequencies? Because we were talking about that earlier on the panel with that there's, one of the ladies was saying there's 72 frequencies. And how did you distinguish that frequency?
So one of my abilities, I call myself a psychic empath. Now, on one hand, I do understand that being an empath means you are built through trauma. So there's a little bit of that having and getting and needing the healing from what built you. But in doing so, my ability in my sensitivities is very heightened. And so I call it a Rolodex. I have a Rolodex in my head where when I feel a frequency, I go through a systems check of what kind of being it is, because I want to know, Are you light or dark? Are you human or non-human? Are you friend or foe? So I go through a little bit of a systems check. And it just, I don't know how to explain it because it's energy, of course, but I lock in on the index card, the file that it is. And the more I talk with that being, the more sure I am of them. So I lock in on Archangel Michael's energy and I'm like, I know his, oh, hands down, I know he could walk in a room and I'll go, oh yeah, hi, I know you. Because it's so developed in that Rolodex that I have in that
Your internal Rolodex, in other words, it's a feeling, and you know that
yeah.
feeling is Archangel Michael.
Yes, so I just feel and then I feel and then I go into my file system that I know this to be and I go, "Oh, I know who that is." And if I don't know who that is, then I just have a little bit more tell me who you are. Like I'm not immediately trusting. I think we have to have a little bit of care and
Oh, absolutely.
concern about things like that just on a really just be smart. Just be don't just trust,
Of
question and
course
be
not.
curious.
Well, that's
Yeah.
discernment. So you're
Yeah.
discerning. That's
Yeah.
really, and that's really healthy. And now I wanted to ask when you were speaking of it, but everything you were saying was so great. I didn't want to interrupt you. But when you said you create a safe space, how do you do that? Because I think it's important for people to know for themselves. How do you create a safe space before you just open up your energy field? So what do you have a specific technique that you use to do that?
Yes, and over the years, it's obviously developed into something that's more of a permanent thing now. I don't have to go through the system of building it. But in the beginning, it would be grounding and centering. I would go into my auric field. There's definitely spiritual hygiene, keeping yourself clear,
Mhm.
aligning your chakras, opening up your capacity, your central channel. Like meditation in general really is to attune you to those higher frequencies, to align you with your sovereign self, right? To align you within your own field. And personal healing is matters on that level as well. Like if you're going to move through your trauma, your self-worth issues, like there's a lot of ways that a lot of things that we carry within our, I'm just feeling all of that, sorry. There's a lot of things we carry within ourselves that deteriorate those boundaries. And so part of it is our own lived experience. And then there's spiritual hygiene to amplify your connection. So I feel like it's a pragmatic and spiritual. Like we really have responsibility to do both. And I feel like that amplifies who we are and
Yeah.
connects us.
Oh, it's definitely a balance. It has to be balanced. If not, you're not grounded. If you're too much in the etheric, right, and you're not grounded in the practical, realistic, discerning part of it, then it's not healthy. So it's like
Exactly.
everything in life, there has to be a balance. And speaking of balance, you mentioned, aligning or balancing the chakras. So when you're preparing for a safe space, what does that look like? Is that something where you're just energetically envisioning all of those, on top of each other, or what does that look like when you say that? Just because I think
Mhm.
people are curious when we say something, what does that really look like?
Mhm.
It's like a visual. I do, I'm an advanced Psych K facilitator as well as a clinical hypnotherapist. So I do brain balancing. And with brain balancing, I take people through whatever their, it's through kinesiology, I'm muscle testing them. So I'm communicating with their subconscious mind, not their conscious mind. But if the subconscious asks for more clarity around something, then I will take them through a visual exercise. So I want to know what they're seeing and I want to see the actual picture. I want them to tell me if they say, "Oh, I'm happy." Well, that's too vague, right? So I want to know, what does happy look like? Where are you? What's happening? Who are you with? So that's kind of where I'm coming from when I ask, well, what does that look like visually?
Mhm.
Like, what would someone do? Do they imagine they're seeing, do the different colors right up their chakra and then see them balanced? Yeah, what for you, how does that happen?
Yeah, I think what I'll say for everyone who's listening is there's a space to talk about we all take in information differently. Some of us are feelers and the felt sense kind of frequency. Some of us are visuals and auditories, and or some just know, or some are really sensitive to the energy of it. So I think I want to say first, it really is for the individual to find how they're going to connect to their chakra system. They may see the energy, they may see the colors and the wheels and the light, or like I do, I'm more feel. I can visualize, like as I go in right now, I can visualize my chakra system, but it'll always, the dominant is always the feeling. It's always how light and vibrant it feels versus how light and vibrant it looks.
Yeah, then
And
you're
so
more, yeah, I get what you're saying. You're more
yeah, it's a
kinesthetic.
feeling to me. It's like a illumination, but it's an emotional illumination. I can feel the energy of it as opposed to seeing, oh, I see the blockages. But even when I'm working on people, so I usually I hold the root here and I can go into their crown, right? I just go through their system and I can feel the speed bumps. I can tell which ones have a little, they're working a little harder than the other ones, or they're not as flowy as the other ones because it's a sense, it's a feeling to me.
Yeah, it's kinesthetic. You're more kinesthetic than you are auditory or visual, right? Because
Yeah,
that's that feeling, you know.
yeah,
And
yeah.
clairsentient is a feeling, the clairs, clairaudient, right? So you're more kinesthetic and clairsentient, so you're actually feeling it. Well, that's a great segue. So, because when you just described that, so you would feel your own chakras more in a kinesthetic way, that they were aligned. So when you're working with someone, what was that you were just describing? So what is that technique that you were just doing?
I just figured it out one day.
Uh-huh.
So because I'm so tactile, I remember when I started my business, I would do oracle card readings and energy clearings. And I would feel so weird because my hands wanted to move and I felt weird. So I would keep them under the table and I would just do the things I was doing, but under the table, which in itself looks weird
Right,
because
hiding it.
I, I'm like, okay, lady, like, what are you doing? So finally, I let go of the resistance and I just gave into it. And then all of a sudden, my hands started moving in almost a poetic dance of clearing whatever energies were going on. So I do, I suppose I would call it psychic surgery on some level. Like I can go into a different layer, I can go into your nervous system, or I can go into your respiratory system. I can clear the energies of whichever body part or layer that I think needs to be done, or you say you need. But it is a very tactile process for me. Like I actually can feel the stickiness, like I have to clear a lot, I have to clear my hands a lot. I don't know where it comes from. It just started happening and I started trusting it and getting results and I just went with it and I don't ask questions. I just go with it.
Yeah, and then when you finish, do you have a clear sense when the process is complete?
Yep.
Like is it that by feel or are you told something, psychically that we're
Hmm.
done? How does that look?
Yeah, my dominant is definitely the felt sense, the tactile, but I also see, hear, and know all at the same time. And so sometimes the guides will come in and they'll say that's clear, or I'll just know it's clear. It kind of in the beginning, I think it was compartmentalized, this the feeling and the seeing and the hearing, but now all the clairs are kind of combined into one. So it's immediate. All of the information is immediate now, just through practice and the trust of it and everything. I actually feel like that's how we develop. That's where we're evolving into, is just having it all right now, as opposed to compartmentalized abilities. Like I feel like that's our evolution, is to bring them all together into one.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100% because, the energies, we can feel it. We know it. The energies are escalating and we're becoming more online with all of those senses,
Exactly.
right? Those higher senses. So I'm curious, with say a client calls you or comes to you and expresses, would they be expressing something actually physical, or do people come to you with an emotional issue as well, psychological, basic human things like I'm in a bad marriage or I can't get along with my partner or my parents or whatever? Who are your clients? How do they, you know what I mean? Like,
I do.
are they coming to you from basic information, or are they already more um, esoterically evolved where they know they're coming for energy clearing?
It's all of it. It's all of it. And this is why I'm smiling because in the business world, we're supposed to niche down, and I cannot stand that conversation because because over the 20 years that I've been in my business for 20 years, but also my own life experience for the 10 to 15 before that, right?
Yeah.
The way I am sensitive is if someone comes to me and they say, I don't know why I'm not happy. I don't know why. I'm just not happy. I can go through the emotional field, the mental field, the physical field, and the spiritual field. I can also access past lives if it's connected to past lives. Like, I really have learned over the years to not niche my work because every time a client comes to me and they say, well, do you do so and so? I'll say, I don't know, let's find out. And my guides almost always have showed me, yeah, you can do it like this, just do this and do that, and then that's that. So I'm pretty vast and I don't call it anything because it's always evolving, it's always changing. I've always had an open-ended relationship with spirit. I have an agreement. You tell me, I tell you. I don't filter, I don't hold back. I'm a full disclosure person. I think that that's the greatest respect I can give my clients is I'm not going to judge that you can't handle this. So there's always been this open door policy with spirit for me where I want to be for that person for their highest good. And wherever that goes is where it goes. And that has afforded me a lot of different skills. And so I just go where it needs to go.
Well, that's really great and interesting because you don't limit yourself.
Right.
You know, you're not, because then you don't have the belief that, oh, I only do this. Or if someone says, do you do this? You go, no, I only do A, B, C, right? You're not doing that. So
Yeah.
this is very interesting. And I think I haven't spoken to anybody really quite from that angle because you have so many different, I mean, I know for your work you do, because I just said them, all the different things that you do. Um, but it's really interesting that you just and you trust the information. That's the peak of intuition. That when
Right.
someone says, do you do this? Like, what would they mean by that? When they say, like, do you do Reiki, or do you do what does that look like? Or what would they say to you? Do you do what?
So I love that you brought up Reiki because I am a Reiki practitioner, a master in two traditions. So what I will say to that is I do respect certain modalities. I don't say I can do the modality if I haven't trained in the modality. So I do have that level of respect for the way we hold our healing systems. But
Hmm.
what people would ask me is, like, for instance, the first time somebody asked this to me, they were like, well, I wonder what my animal totem is. Do you do that? And I go, I don't know. Let's see. And I close my eyes and I'm describing this beautiful white wolf. And it's an outdoor festival. So it was like open and sunshine and the breeze. And I'm describing this beautiful white and gray wolf next to this woman. And I open my eyes, and there is literally a dog sitting there because someone's dog came and sat there, and it was like a husky wolf-like dog. And I said, "Is that dog actually?" I freaked out a little bit because I'm like, "Is it really there?" And I touched it, and I'm like, "Okay, I'm having a moment." But that's what I mean. Like, I don't know. Let's see. Another question was, do you do dream interpretation? And I said, I don't know. Let's see. And I ask the dream, what are you trying to tell me about? What are you trying to tell this person? They're not getting it. And the dream will tell me what it's trying to say. So that's kind of what I mean. Like, I don't know. Let's see. Let's see what happens.
Those are great examples. And
Yeah.
that confirmation with the dog, that's
I know.
amazing.
It was a little trippy. And that was in my early years where everything was still like shocking and exciting. And so yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, it's like, oh my God, actual manifestation, like a physical manifestation of like the wolf dog. Well, you were doing this in person with a person,
Yeah,
and the
yeah,
dog, and then you opened your eyes and there was a
yeah.
dog there that looked like a
It
husky.
was funny.
Oh my
Yeah,
God. See, the
yeah,
dogs, the animals are very, very intuitive.
right.
I don't know, did you see Ariana Laurent, who I had on the
Mm-mm.
Intuition Incubator? And she's, well, I just put that up. So maybe you haven't seen it yet. I
Oh,
just put
good.
that up a
I'll
couple
go
days
watch it.
ago. She is a dog trainer, but she trains the people more than the dogs. But it's very, very much of what you're saying because the dogs will connect with what you're thinking and feeling because it's
Yep.
the energy, the dog, and then things change around you when you change the way that you're reacting with your dog. It's really cool. She's
Oh,
amazing.
oh, I
Yeah.
can't wait to
So,
watch that one. That sounds good. That
yeah, when
sounds
you said
really
that about
fascinating.
the dog right away, I said, "Oh my God, she's got to see Ariana because that was really something else." Um,
Nice.
okay, well, this is really interesting, and thank you so much for those explanations because I think examples really help. You know,
Yeah.
especially for people that are new, we don't know who's watching. We may have people that this is just they're getting the first inkling of something, and they may say, "What are those women talking about? It sounds like outer space." So, right?
Right.
And so I like to make, real practical examples of what it may look like for them. So then they can see, okay. So then if something similar happened, they would be more comfortable with it and it wouldn't seem odd because I wrote a lot about this in my book is, when I was younger, nobody was talking about this stuff. And I just felt like a misfit with no working compass. I just felt
Right.
like I don't fit in with what's going on here. But I had to kind of, just trust my intuition and go against what the norm was to try to find my way. So
Mm.
I really like for us to explain things in a little more detail sometimes so that people that are going through that it'll make it an easier journey for them because then they'll say, oh, that's what I've been going through. And
Yeah.
I could do that then. And then without having to wait as long, as you
Yeah.
or I did. Because when you were young, did you did you have any of that understanding? Did you have any of the clairs when you were when you were younger before this awakening happened when your son was born?
Yeah, I do have memories from when I was around 7 or 8 years old. I do remember feeling people, but not seeing them. And I know that my mom was psychic, and I know that I have three brothers, and one of my brothers is also very intuitive, but we did not talk about it. We did not understand it. It was a taboo conversation. So it didn't feel safe to ask questions or take it to my mom and ask her. So as children do, I just kind of like stamped it down because
Yeah,
I'm like, I don't understand this. I'm not dealing with this.
stuff it.
Forget this. Yeah. So we just survive it, right? And so I think it was dormant until my son was born, and then it all kind of came back online really fast. So yeah, I do believe we are born with our intuitive capacities. I feel like how we're raised matters, like how we're nurtured or not. Do we have accessibility to information or not? Like, I do believe that. I feel like everyone is intuitive. It's just that they're intuitive in their own way and they get to explore how that works for them. So, yeah, I'm a strong advocate of that.
I agree with that 1,000,000,000% that we all have it. And that's part of my desire and intention for our audience, to realize you all can do this. We all can do this. And although I believe, yes, we have been programmed, which is my work a lot, is deprogramming, right? Finding, changing the false beliefs and the root causes that got that false belief in the first place. But yeah, a lot of our parents just were not either were psychic, like you said, like your mother, and didn't talk about it because they were afraid of it. I think my mother too, she was a Pisces, and I believe she was very fearful of it.
Hmm.
She would say, ooh, she had a term for it, it's like, ooh, like creepy or scary, or I forget the exact term, but it was kind of, ooh, I don't want to go there. It's weird. Um,
Right.
so I think many of us, I mean, some of us did have great parents who had the gift and were open to it and shared it and said, oh, yes, trust your intuition. But I think it does affect us by the parents that we have and how they raise us. But I don't want that to limit anyone because look, you overcame it, I overcame it, and we came into our own. It just maybe took us a little longer. But I believe our innate being will, if that's our mission, we're going to find a way to get it done, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. The soul knows who we are. The human experience is what we go through to remember who we are.
Exactly.
I feel like we're born and we know, and then we forget for whatever reason, and then we live the rest of our lives remembering. And so I feel like also, like people like you and I, we're sharing openly about the intuitive experiences and normalizing it, giving permission for people to even be curious and ask questions because, like you said, our parents didn't have that. They didn't have context or safety or permission. So we made the permission. We said, well, I'm going to do it anyway. And then I'm going to talk about it. And so we're changing the world simply by having conversations like this because every time somebody gets to hear somebody else having a conversation around their intuition, it plants the seed in them of, ooh, maybe that's what's been happening. Maybe that's what I am. Maybe that's what I get to do. And so it's healing our planet every time we get to talk about it.
Absolutely. That's why I think this is so important that we are. And I'm sure you were this way. I know I was. I didn't think back then, oh, I'm going to do it and then talk about it. It was more of it organically happened. But I remember thinking, I just have to do what I'm feeling is right for me. Because when I did what wasn't, I went, oh, this doesn't feel good. Like just like you described in the very beginning, it's a feeling. And that's
Hmm.
the intuition. Your gut feeling, how people, and even our parents used to say that, oh, I just have a gut feeling that's not good, or that's a dangerous street, or I shouldn't go down there, or whatever. That just goes to show you we all have it. We all have
Yeah.
that innate ability. And also, I was just listening to someone that reminded me, and this is so true, because what we're talking about is we're really just God experiencing source creating itself through us, through all these little individuated people. Because I guess it's boring because if you know the answer to everything, what's there to learn? So by source creator creating through us, then like you said, we forget and then live into the remembering. And so it's more fun. The game is more fun when you don't really know. So it
Yeah,
really, if we look at it as, wow, it's really just a big game. It's a game that Source Creator is having to experience itself
I
because,
love that.
right?
Yeah, I 100% agree. In fact, I like to take it a step further and say, so the human, the individual expression of source, right? The single, we only really truly know self when we have a cognitive idea and then we live it, when you experience it. So concept is great. So source is conceptual of like, I wonder what it means to be all of these things. And then it has to have the embodied experience in order to understand self. And then we understand self through contrast, through the
Correct.
lived experience of what I like and what I don't like. And it's in that triangulation we know self. So Source is doing it on a macrocosm with all these beautiful expressions, having all of these contrasting experiences. Spirit, divine, and human ego, that's the contrast. Our whole existence is about contrast. It's
Yes.
really just to know self so that source knows self. It's really beautiful that way and easy that way and poetic that way and hard and beautiful and excruciating and all the
Yes.
things. Yeah,
And all of those things,
all
right?
the things.
Because we wouldn't know joy if we didn't have sadness. We
Right.
wouldn't know light if we didn't have dark. So we do have to do it all. And even though it's very challenging, the very challenges, and I'm seeing this over and over with my guests, certainly myself and all my guests, that's what brought them, you and I, to the point where we're doing what we're doing because it was a gift that we went through the hardship and the challenge and overcame it and then said, aha, now I can share with others. They can do it too. And then all the different modalities, yours and mine and everybody else, it's all just part of the game. It's fun.
Yeah.
It's variety,
Yeah.
right? There's not one way to do it. And that's another thing I like to, to stress to our audience. There's no one right way, right? That
Right.
it's fun to try lots of different modalities and what feels good to you. What does your intuition tell you? Because whatever our past lives or current lives or what are, we all have a different preferred method, just like yours is more kinesthetic, right? Some people are more visual, others are auditory. I'm very auditory. It's like someone's on the phone with me, right?
Nice.
So it's so interesting, and there's the variety makes the interest, right? That everybody's different, and it's all okay. And I really, really am so happy that we're getting away from judgment, because this is good and that's bad. There is no bad and there is no good because we could say as children when these traumatic experiences happened, oh, that's bad, but they brought us to where we are now
Hmm.
and what we're able to do now, right? And that's what you're doing. So
Yeah.
I want to know more about these interesting different modalities and what you've created here. And what is her sovereign way exactly? Tell us.
Ah, Her Sovereign Way has my whole heart right now. I love it so much. So I've created a women's community. I, through the years, have not felt very safe with women, as I hear that from other women, that groups aren't always safe. They're not always free of judgment, free of that comparison kind of energy that we've been programmed in our society to have. And so I couldn't find a space where I felt safe. So I thought, I'm going to create it. And so what we do is we gather 4 times a month for different intentions, different reasons. And ultimately, we're learning co-regulation in a safe space, learning how to be safe with other women. We bring, like, the woman gets to arrive just as she is. Either she's on top of the world or she's the biggest, messiest mess she's ever been. And it truly is just a safe space to be exactly who you are. So we're unraveling patriarchal programs of what a woman is supposed to look like, and she's supposed to have it all together. And there's a lot of pressure subconsciously in that space. And so I wanted to provide a way to allow that to unravel, to let the woman remember who she is before the world told her who she was supposed to be. And so we do that in that Her Sovereign Way space where we support each other, we cry, we laugh, we get angry, we have our moments, and we co regulate together because we're learning safety through that co regulation.
And how do you do that? How do you co-regulate? Is
Well,
it
co-regulation is an energy of I love your question. I have never been asked that question. Co-regulation is an energetic trauma, like being able to feel safe. You and I are co-regulating right now. I feel safe with you. I'm gathering you feel safe with me. There's a transference of energy, even though we're online, it doesn't matter. Time
no,
and space don't exist, so it doesn't matter.
exactly.
So this is technically co-regulation where both people or all people feel safe enough to be themselves. Just feel safe enough to be authentic. We're not putting on the mask. We're not putting up the performance. That's what co-regulation is. And it requires everyone to, how does that sound? Let me feel that. It requires every woman to be willing to be authentic. You don't have to have it all together. You don't have to be perfect, but honest with self and have that authenticity within self and your intention. I have a clear intention to be authentic and be with you right now. That's co-regulation. And we
Oh,
are so deeply in tune with our energetic selves, especially as women.
yeah.
Women have learned to be hyper vigilant, so we are very attuned to environments. We know when we don't feel safe,
Mm-hmm.
right? Our gut instinct or our empathic abilities or whatever is in that person, we know when we're not safe. And so when everyone is on board with that, everyone is co-regulating.
That sounds then to me like congruence also too,
Yes.
that you're acting on the outside exactly what you're feeling on the inside. So like if a woman came and she was into your group and she was feeling really, really upset and such a mess, that she would honestly express what she was feeling and not try to hide it and pretend it wasn't happening, right?
Right.
Good.
And we're able to hold her in that too, because in the space holding of it, it's communal. It's your red tent women's, it's your tribal, we've got you. Like we will reflect back to you who you are when you forget who you are. And so it's ancient. Where I
Oh,
feel that this space is alive. She's guiding us. Her sovereign way is a breathing, living entity that is guiding our journey because something ancient is coming through, something that women have been programmed to forget. And we're
yes.
remembering.
That is so great because you're right. You know, the red tent, there were tribal ceremonies and honoring that happened like women would do it on their monthly and the menstrual cycles,
Right.
right? They would come together and they would all like co-regulate together. And yeah, we got completely away from that for so long, and women just felt completely isolated.
Right. That was by design because our power is
Yes.
within our communities. I'm gonna get emotional because it means everything to me to feel connected to this. What is happening? Something magical is happening in this space. We just started in September, so it's developing and maturing and steeping in this richness and the sacredness of it. And so it's why I light up because I'm seeing it come alive before my eyes. I'm so incredibly honored to be able to hold this space.
It sounds so beautiful. And the way you described it when you said like it's an entity of,
Yeah.
so when you're in that congruence with everybody, what does that feel like? Because you're kinesthetic. I'm not going to say what does it look like or what does it sound like. I'm going to say, what does it feel like to you when you feel that energy? Because you're feeling it as a whole energy. Does it feel like a sacred womb, or like what does that feel like in the group?
It feels, the first thing that comes to mind is it feels thick. It feels, the environment feels gel-like, contained, we're held. And it definitely feels like I suppose I could call that a womb space. It feels very womb-like and held, like everything is in. No energies, or we're not self-abandoning, we're not going down rabbit holes. We're contained, we're in. Like we're in it.
Like
And
a
so it feels
cocoon.
thick and palpable.
Yeah, kind of like a big cocoon, right? Like you feel like
Yeah, a
you're
little bit.
protected in
Yeah.
something. And do the other women, how many women do you have in this group?
Currently, we have about 22 women.
Oh, wow, so it's big.
Oh, we're just getting started. I
Wow,
have big dreams for this group.
this is amazing. So
Yeah.
with 22 women then, and how long is the session when you do this once a month?
We do 4 calls a month. It's ongoing, so we're rotating through every month. We have different intentions for the month. We have different
Huh?
focal points and such. But our
Okay.
calls are anywhere from 90 minutes to 2 hours each. So we
Whoa.
steep and we breathe and we pause. There's no rushing. There's
So
no
it's once a
rushing through it.
week if you're doing it 4 times a
Pretty
month.
much, yeah. Depends on the day. Yeah. So like we meet on the first of the month, then we
Uh-huh.
meet about 7 to 8 days later. And then we meet about sometime like around the 20th or 21st. It just kind of depends on where we are with the
Yeah.
moon. We also practice the cycles. And so we're moving into, women are connected to an infradian cycle as opposed to the circadian. So our hormonal cycle Men's hormonal cycle is 24 hours. That's why they have a replenishment of testosterone every day. Every day they have the same replenishment of testosterone, right?
Uh-huh.
Women don't work like that. And yet we're trying to keep up with men in this world. And it's why women statistically are burning out so much faster, so much more. And so we are practicing more of the infradian rhythm, more about we are in our cycles 7 days on average before we move into a new cycle. The luteal, the follicular, the menstrual, all of the ovulation, all the words are dumping in my brain right now. And so we're in our circadian rhythm 25 to 35 days at a time.
What does
Where men
nephridian mean? Or again,
infradian just means
nephridian.
more than 24 hours. So anything that means different than the 24-hour cycle.
Uh-huh.
But our
Okay.
hormonal cycle replenishes every 25 to 35 days.
I was just going to say to you because I know with the menstrual cycle, I know it's more in the like 28 days, somewhere around 25 to
Hmm.
28 days, which does coincide with the moon cycles too. So we
Hmm.
know that women were the feminine, were the lunar, right?
Right. And
Sun,
men are
masculine,
men are the
fire,
sun.
women, lunar, water, right?
Right.
So that's very interesting. So that's a very nurturing practice for women, and especially every, like you said, a week or 10 days. And then they get to that, the menstrual cycle toward the end of it. Your last week would be like the 25th, 6th day, whatever in there,
Yeah.
right? 7, 8, wherever you land would be a big support for that. So what have you seen happen since September with the women in your group?
This is definitely where I'll probably get emotional because some of these most of these women are very dear friends. I've known them for years. Some are new clients, so it just there's a spectrum of women. But what I've seen is collectively, we're not self-abandoning. The people-pleasing tendency is starting to shrink. And the awareness when we are people pleasing is starting to shorten. So we're getting it really quickly. Women have been programmed to go outside of themselves, to care for everyone, to give every single drop they have to everyone else. And then you might get table scraps. You might be nourished a little bit at the end. But we're reversing that, where the woman gets to be resourced and then she goes out and she takes care of women and her family and her friends. And so we're learning to have this, instead of the flow going from out, we're going in. And so they're stepping into their dreams. They're creating healthy boundaries. They're having hard conversations. They're moving into spaces that maybe at one point they wanted to be invisible. So every woman, because every woman is her own sovereign being, is
Yes,
having her own experience,
of
but
course.
we're becoming a force. We're becoming something
Well, yes, because it's the
together.
group together, each
Yeah,
individual, you're like how we were talking too in another interview of it's a weaving. It's like a big web and you're all connected in like the spider web, right? So
yes,
then there's more power in it. You have your individual, but then when you're supporting each other, you're mirroring everybody else too, right?
bingo. Bingo, we're reflecting. We are the moon. We are the
Yes.
reflection of that deep subconscious emotional psychic ability. So everyone is illuminating. They're waking up and illuminating in their own way, in their own capacity, right? And so something really beautiful is happening, Carolyn. I'm very honored to be able to witness this.
This is so amazing. I could just feel it, which is why I was telling you I'm asking you those questions to tell me what were you seeing? What were you feeling? Because I thought this has got to be what's happening. And I also, when you said it, I went, aha, because I was thinking they're learning to set healthy boundaries because when they're seeing, reflecting in everybody else and themselves of what they're going through, once you know it, something has to change,
That's right. That's
right?
right.
And then it changes, and you all have a sisterhood of this beautiful, safe container to be authentically who you are, which is so important, and which I found out through speaking of Reiki. I love sharing this story. when my book first came out, I went up. It was in October. I went up uh, to Ocala, the Ocala area, to do a book signing, and it was at a bookstore that the woman owned a horse, and Leroy, and she said Levi could even maybe come to the book signing. He ended up not because he had a health issue that day, but the next day, there was a horse Reiki healing that we both went to. I signed up for it. She signed up for it. And we actually were on a massage table in the corral, and the horses really were doing the healing. And there was a shaman who was telling us, interpreting what the horses were saying. It was unbelievable. And then when I was first publishing my book, when you submit your manuscript, the publisher compares you to different people to see how they should market you. And I was compared to four different people, and one of them was a woman who wrote a book called The Tao of Equus. And in that book, she talked about how horses know if you're congruent or not. And they'll walk away if you're acting one way but feeling another. So
Yes.
that harkens back to what you and I were talking about in the very beginning about congruence. So even the animals know, which Ariana and I were talking about it too, because that ties into her work with the dogs. The animals know,
Yes.
and they will come to you. So this is a very natural thing with both animals and people, right? This
Yeah.
congruence. And you are establishing this in this beautiful group. So tell us how people might want to get involved in that.
I love that. Yeah. So I've created a really big platform of, when you read my bio, it's helping women come back to their bodies, right? Because the
Yes.
self-abandonment it's sinister and it really depletes everything. And so I created a quiz that allows a woman, anyone can take it, but the platform is for women, shows you how you self-abandon. It not only gives you your pattern of self-abandonment, but also your archetype. And then it gives you a lot of really beautiful, nurturing ways to come back to self. So the quiz is the doorway to the community. And so you go to joinherway.com, take the quiz, find out what your self abandoned pattern and archetype is, read all the really yummy nutrition that's in there. I'm very proud of that quiz. Just a little, I'm going to geek out a minute. My birthday
Good,
is
please
April
do.
11th. It's 411.
What is it?
I My birthday is 411.
Oh, okay.
I love
Okay.
information. I love giving information. I love nurturing people with education and ways give me something, give me some meat. And so that quiz will help not only teach you how that happens, but how to come back. So there's a beautiful nurturing sequence that goes with that. And then that gets you into the community. And then from there, you can try it on. And we have an open house. When is our open house? We have an open call that we just started doing where it's open door. Anybody can come in. Just try it on and see how you like the space because I also know that it's difficult to speak about it. You like concept is concept.
Yeah,
If you don't embody it, it's just a great concept. And so
absolutely.
we're doing that really beautiful. Yeah, February 20th is our open house, so anybody can come. Just get in touch with me. I'll get you connected to the link and yeah, come meet us. Come try it on. Come play with us because it's just a fun night. We just meet each other and last month we did oracle card readings for each other. No pressure. We just had a blast. It was so fun.
Wow. And
Yeah.
what time do you do this? What time is
So that
is
particular night will be 8 p.m. Eastern.
okay, 8 p.m. Eastern,
Hmm.
everyone. Okay, that sounds absolutely fantastic. And so then they can try it on, see if they like it. And so if they go to joinherway.com, then they can just put in their information, say they're interested, and then you
Hmm.
get back to them with a Zoom link. Is that
Yeah.
how it works?
Well, the quiz is the quiz, but if you want to
Right.
come to the open house, like I would say, just comment underneath our video here and let me know, and I'll get in touch with you.
Oh, okay, because yeah, this video is going to be playing for 30 days, so there's plenty of time for
Yeah.
people to come on. Well, that's that is really, really a beautiful service. And so, geez, do you believe it? We're already like,
I told you I can talk.
I
I have
know.
no problem.
Well, obviously I don't.
That's funny.
I know, but it's so enriching and exciting that we just feel like we could just, talk for hours and hours. So, is there anything else before we go, though, that you would like to share with the audience? Anything else about what you do or anything that's on your heart to convey? You're so intuitive that you you can just talk to your guides or your angels or your higher self or whomever and whatever comes to your heart to share.
It feels like what's dropping in at this moment is there's a lot going on in the world. There's a lot happening. And those of us that would call ourselves sensitive or empathic or even intuitive, there's a lot of energies that we're having to navigate. So, one of the things we do in Her Sovereign Way is we practice capacity expansion because you're already going to be overwhelmed in this world. And so, by expanding your capacity, you're able to take on more, meaning everything that's happening and who you are and what's happening to you. So, my loving guidance would be find ways to expand your capacity, find the ways that open up that central channel that's housing your chakra system and expand it because that's where the overwhelm and the anxiety is really going to start settling in. When where capacity is so narrow, any extra information is just going to flood our emotional system. So I'm a pragmatic spiritual person, so I believe in the mechanics of how we're built. So give a little bit of attention to your capacity, and that's going to help you navigate wherever we're headed as a planet, as a country, as a people, as a species. So yeah, that's my loving guidance in this moment in time.
Well, how would they do that? How would they expand that
There's
capacity?
a lot of different ways. We work on it in a guided meditation style where you go into your central channel. You just get a sense of where it is,
Hmm.
whether you see it, feel it, or know it, or even just making it up. It doesn't matter. And we ask the capacity to just open up an inch, and then you hold it. And then a few moments later, you say, hey, would you be willing to do another inch? And you just keep doing that until it feels like you've got a good stretch. You'll feel
Uh-huh.
it. And then
Yeah.
the anxiety eases a little bit. And then you go, okay, thank you so much. And then you move on with your day.
Wow. And so, and do you work on that with your group in Her
Oh, yeah.
Sovereign Way? So then people can actually try it on, like feel that
Oh, yeah.
in the safety of the group to really, you know, that would be wonderful because
Yeah.
I think some of our audience members, like I said, I'm always thinking of the people who maybe are just coming in or haven't been on the path for too long and they're really curious and they want to get involved in that and they want to try it, but they're not quite sure. They don't feel
Mhm.
safe enough yet to just really try something because it is important, as we spoke before, about that safety. So something like your group is wonderful. So everyone go to joinherway.com and experience this
Yeah.
because it really sounds wonderful. So is that the only place they go, Morgan, is to joinherway.com? Is there any way else people can reach you or should reach you, or is that the way?
Oh yeah, no, that definitely is one way, but I also have my website, which is my name, morriganlynn.com. If you want to read more about me, Her Sovereign Way information is also on that website. So again, I love information, so you're not going to be confused. I love to educate. So if you ever have any questions or anything, you can come straight to me and I'll walk you through wherever you maybe are seeking and not sure where to go and not sure where like what service or what group might work best for you. I'm always open. I'm always open to chat. So just reach out.
I love that. And you know what? I'm going to ask you to spell that because your name is a little unusual, right? Because it kind of
Yeah.
sounds like Morrighan, right?
Yep.
If you
Yep.
just if you do it phonetically. So spell that for people so they know how to reach you.
Definitely. Yeah. Thank you. So it's MorrighanLynne.com.
Thank you for that. Yeah, because when we were first meeting, I was like, how do I pronounce her name? Is it Morringham? Is it Morgan? Is it? And then you corrected me with like Morrigan, like Oregon. So everybody out
Exactly.
there, that's how she pronounces it, like Oregon, Morrigan.
It's the easiest way. I know it's an interesting spelling, and so it's just the easiest way, like to get a little bit of word association. So yeah,
Yeah, so I like to clarify that for everyone because then they'll know the correct pronunciation of your name and they'll know how to spell it to get to the website. So
beautiful.
this was so beautiful and the time just flew.
I'm so happy. Thank you so much for all your beautiful time. I appreciate you.
Yes, well, I appreciate you and I appreciate you sharing all your wisdom and your story and all the support that you're giving women. And I just see this exploding. Her Sovereign Way is going to just explode because it sounds like such a beautiful, sacred container, the cocoon, the womb, whatever you want to call it, the beehive.
Yeah,
I don't know, everything, all of those.
all of it. All of it.
It's all of that. And you're the queen bee in that beehive, and you're allowing all of these women to just to experience this beautiful, beautiful energy. So thank you for sharing your beautiful energy with us. And I look forward to seeing you again. And I would love to experience that. So um,
Yeah.
I would,
Anytime, honey.
yeah.
Come on the 20th. We'd love to have you. Just let me know.
Yes, I think it's beautiful, and I really encourage everyone to take care of yourself, honor yourself, allow yourself to be involved in a sacred container like this. As you said, Morgan, I'm here. We're here to support women. That's the whole purpose.
Yes.
We want women and men too. This isn't just exclusive. There's men who are sensitive and really want to express themselves more and they feel they have to be macho and that they can't. Well, that I have a lot of men clients and they're beautiful human beings and I've had amazing things happen with them as
Yeah.
well. So it's wonderful that you're inviting everyone to join the sacred space. We're here to support you. And until next time, my dear, thank you so much. And we will be seeing everyone again on another extremely inspiring Intuition Incubator interview. Bye, everyone. Say goodbye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye, everyone, and we will see you again very, very soon. Bye now.